So you've already learned about causes and effects of greenhouse gases, air pollution, and global warming. Now we're going to learn about the solutions. If these are our major sources of our greenhouse gases, we need to focus our solutions on the sources, right? From this pie graph, you can tell that transportation and electricity, along with industry, are our three major sources of our greenhouse gas emissions. All three of these are primarily through burning fossil fuels, which you've learned about already. So we do that to provide energy to be able to do the things that we are interested in, like running our cars, or our air conditioner, or our refrigerators. So we need to consider renewable energy, and that's what these major solutions are going to focus on today.
Around the world, renewable energy use is on the rise, and these alternative energy sources could hold the key to combating climate change. What is renewable energy? Renewable energy is generated from sources that naturally replenish themselves and never run out. The most common sources are solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and biomass. Over 80% of the total energy consumed by humans is derived from fossil fuels. However, renewables are the fastest growing source of energy in the world. Renewable energy has many benefits. First, it can combat climate change because it creates no direct greenhouse gas emissions. The only emissions that they produce are indirect, meaning those that result from manufacturing parts, installation, operation, and maintenance. But even those are minimal. Second, renewable energy can decrease pollution and therefore reduce threats to our health. Wind, solar, and hydroelectric systems create no air pollution emissions, and geothermal and biomass energy systems emissions are much lower than non-renewable energy sources. Third, renewable energy is a reliable source of power. Because renewable energy sources are, well, renewable, they will never run out. Once built, renewable facilities cost very little to operate, and the fuel is often free. As a result, renewable energy prices tend to be stable over time. While renewable energy has many advantages, it is not without downsides. It is difficult for renewable energy sources to generate power on the same large scale as fossil fuels. Building wind farms and dams can disrupt wildlife and migration patterns and lead to ecological destruction. Both solar and wind energy are intermittent. They only generate power while the sun is shining or while the wind is blowing. Batteries can store excess energy for later use. However, they are often costly. While renewable energy presents some challenges, it also offers an environmentally friendly alternative to the greenhouse gas emissions and pollution of fossil fuels. And as advances in technology make renewable energy more accessible, affordable, and efficient, an end to climate change could be within our reach.
So with the rest of this video, we're going to discuss the 5 major ways of using renewable energy. Now, in the video, it did tell us, unfortunately, 80% of our energy is still coming from fossil fuels, but scientists are working to try and develop effective ways to use renewable energy sources as a solution. Of course, you've seen solar panels on maybe other people's houses, or even the solar farm that's down in the middle of Frederick. Solar energy harnesses the energy from our sun. Currently, we only use about 1% of our sun's power. So there's a lot of energy that we could be using that's really being wasted. If we could take all the energy from fossil fuels on our Earth, it would be equal to the amount of solar energy in just 20 days. So, if you look at our benefits, it is unlimited, and it's a huge source. But unfortunately, it's only available when the sun is out, and it's really best in certain areas where there is really high sun. Wind energy is another one that you've probably already heard of, and maybe you've even seen wind turbines before. they harness the energy from our wind. Some benefits: it is totally unlimited. This is another renewable energy source. However, it can disrupt animal migration, which is why all wind farms have lights installed in the post and in the actual propellers. But wind is only available in certain areas and certain times when wind is actually blowing. So you might see wind farms in coastal areas where it gets very, very windy. Using water as an energy source is what you learned a little bit about last week with dams. We harness the potential energy as the water is able to fall down a dam. Now, you learned last week there are some benefits and some consequences. It can be unlimited and a constant source of energy. However, it can disrupt both plants and animals and our landscape. Water energy is also known as hydroelectric. Geothermal energy, you may not have heard of before. We talked briefly about it at the beginning of the year, but it harnesses energy from deep beneath the Earth's surface. It is unlimited, of course, but it's usually only available where tectonic plates meet and where they shift, which you may remember from our first term of the school year. Those are in very precise and specific places, so we can't just use geothermal energy for every possible energy use, but it can be one renewable energy source. And finally, biomass energy. This one is a debated energy source on whether it's renewable or not, but it's where scientists are able to harness heat energy when burning plant matter. It is unlimited, and it can reduce landfill and waste matter. We can burn garbage, crops, compost, wood, things from the landfill, even alcohol. But it can produce air pollutants, so as those things are burned, they are releasing gases into the air. And it can also take longer to renew compared to some of the other options that have been provided in this video. Regardless, biomass energy is still much better than fossil fuels, so it is considered a solution. Now the last thing you need to do is your discussion question for today. Which of the renewable energy sources do you think is the best alternative to fossil fuels? And then you need to defend your answer. So use some evidence from this video or evidence that you already knew about to try to defend which energy source is the best alternative for fossil fuels. And since you calculated your water footprint last week, now you have an optional opportunity to calculate your carbon footprint and try to determine some solutions for your own carbon footprint to reduce it so that you can provide solutions in your own personal life.